Hey guys, welcome back to another build video. Today I'm going to show you a fun and powerful Negotiator build. It's a little bit lesser used gear set because it doesn't hit quite like Striker or Hunter Fury, but it's definitely no slouch. And if you've never used Negotiator before, it's kind of like OG version of Turmoil knee pads, except in a lot of ways it's even better than Turmoil. This gear can easily run heroic difficulty and can even be used for master and legendary if you want. Now since it's getting towards the end of Year 6 Season 3, I'll be showing you this build with modifiers off, but obviously you're welcome to turn them on if you want. So with that, let's take a look at this build. Alright, so for this build, I'll show you two different variations. One variation is how I would run it on heroic, which is this one right here, and then I'll show you a slight variation to run it on master difficulty if you're going to use it there, or on legendary difficulty. But for heroic difficulty, I'm going to be running the Negotiator backpack, gloves, knee pads, and holster. And then I'm going to be running the coyote mask and one piece of bellstone. So let's look at the backpack first. This is going to give us crit chance, crit damage, and then the 4-piece bonus is hostile negotiations. Critical hits mark enemies for 20 seconds up to 3 marks total. When you critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt. Whenever a marked enemy dies, gain 2% crit damage, stacking up to 20 times or until combat ends. So when you critically hit an enemy, you're going to have this mark above their heads. So you can apply up to 3 marks, so you'll basically have 2 marks plus a 3rd mark on the enemy that you're currently targeting. So if we shoot here, you can see this guy has a mark now, and if we shoot him, the other enemies in the background are dying. So I can shoot this guy back here, it'll apply a mark, and you can see it kills the enemy that has the mark in front of me. Another great thing about the Negotiator set is, unlike the Turmoil knee pads, this mark has no range limitation. So we can hit this guy back here, he's 50 meters away, and if we shoot this guy who's at 5 meters, it still kills the enemy in the back. Now lastly, if we look under ammo bar, we're going to have this green icon. This is the stat counter for our 2% crit damage per kill, and this will stack up to 20 times, giving us an additional 40% crit damage at maximum stacks. So if I scroll down here, I'm going to have weapon damage, crit chance, and a crit damage mod on here. This is going to have the talent critical measures. Increase all hostile negotiations damage to additional marked targets from 60% to 112%. So the marked enemies are actually going to be getting hit harder than the enemy that you're currently targeting. So unlike something like the Turmoil, which is taking your damage and cutting it in half and just spreading it to another enemy, this is actually taking your full damage and then some, and then spreading that to the other marked targets. So then the gloves, I'm going to have weapon damage, crit damage, knee pads, weapon damage, crit chance, and the holster, armor, crit chance. And then for the mask, I'm using the Coyote's mask. This is going to have weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a crit damage mod on here. And this has the talent pack instincts. You and all allies gain a bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. So since we're using an LMG, we're going to be fighting behind cover a lot. So we're going to be in this 15 to 20 meters range a lot, and this 25 plus meter range a lot. So we're going to be either getting 10% crit damage and 10% crit chance, or plus 25% crit chance. And then last piece is the chest. I'm using 1-piece bellstone. This is going to give me 1% armor regen. I've got armor on here, crit damage. I've got a headshot damage roll on here. Ideally this would be crit chance, and a crit damage mod on here. And then I have the talent obliterate. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. So I use this for a little extra tankiness and a little armor regen, but if you're comfortable with less armor and you want more damage, you can run something like this piece of Petrov, get the LMG damage, and then weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, probably a crit damage mod on here, and Obliterate. Now for the weapons, you can use whatever you want, but I've been using the blue screen a lot lately, just in general, so I've been using it with this build, and it's been doing great. So mine has 10 expertise in it, has LMG damage, damage to targets out of cover, damage to armor, and it has the talent Disruptor Rounds. So this is probably the longest worded talent in the game, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the main thing to take away from this is this down here, is that this effect will trigger immediately if any marked enemy is killed. So basically when you kill an enemy, it's going to do some combination of Pulse, Disrupt, and Disorient. So when you shoot the blue screen, you'll get this icon above the enemy's heads, and you'll get the same icon underneath your ammo bar that's counting your stacks. Now we mark all these enemies. If we kill this guy, it applied Pulse, Disrupt, and Disorient to the enemies around him because I had 50 stacks. For the secondary, I don't use it too often, but I've got a Lexington here. This has 10 expertise, assault rifle damage, health damage, damage targets out of cover, and I have the talent Killer on here. And then the mods, I have 5 crit chance, 15 rounds, 5 crit chance, and 30% accuracy. For the skills, again, you can run pretty much whatever you want. I don't really use skills too much in this game, so I pretty much always just run the Reviver Hive. And my Reviver Hive has no mods. And then I'm running the Fixer Drone. I'm running this just for an extra little bit of armor regen. The healing is 19,700 HP per second, and I have duration, health, and damage reduction. And none of these mods actually help the healing, so if you don't have any of these mods, it's no big deal. Now if we come up and look at the stats, I have 49% crit chance, which is perfectly fine because we're wearing the Coyote's mask, which is going to put us at 59%, or at the cap of 60% pretty much all the time. Then I have 137% crit damage, 1.1 million armor, 110,000 armor on kill, and 11,000 armor regen. And the last thing is the specialization. I'm using Gunner mainly for this 10% armor on kill. And then make sure you have the proper weapons selected here for an extra damage increase bonus. And now here's the slight variation that I would run if you're going to be doing the master difficulty or legendary. So I've swapped out the chest, the mask, and the knee pads. For the mask, I'm using the Chill Out mask. It's one piece of Gilligard. This is going to give me an extra 5% total armor. This is going to be nice because enemies on master difficulty and legendary hit a lot harder, so the extra armor is nice. This is going to have armor as the attribute, and then I'm running triple crit chance on here because I want to be right up at the 60% cap. The second piece I swapped is the chest. I'm going to be now wearing the Negotiator chest piece. This has armor, crit damage, and a crit damage mod on here, and this has the talent Target Rich Environment. Increases hostile negotiations mark count from 3 to 5. So this increased mark number from 3 to 5 is really nice on master difficulty and legendary, just because there's so many enemies running around. They're running everywhere, they're hiding. If you can tag them and then focus fire on an enemy out in the open, you can clear rooms pretty fast because you're not having to try and shoot at the enemies that are just constantly hiding behind cover. And the third piece I swapped out is the knee pads for the Foxpair knee pads. This has weapon damage, damage to targets out of cover, and crit chance. And I'm using this because of the damage to targets out of cover roll here. So those are the 3 pieces I swapped out. So now if I come up and look at the stats, I have 60% crit chance, which is the cap. I think with this build I actually have 61%, so I'm a little over, but not too much that it's a huge waste. I have 113% crit damage. I have 1.36 million armor, 136,000 armor on kill, and no armor regeneration. But this is just on the gear. This is not accounting for the armor regen that we're getting from the Fixer Drone. But that's the build, guys. Try it out and let me know what you think. I'll leave you guys with a little bit of gameplay showing some heroic, master, and legendary, so you can see the build in action a little bit. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Serious trauma detected. Hostiles detected. Hostile broadcast detected. Heavily armored hostile detected. Hostile broadcast picked up. Supply room access unlocked.